Miami does it again. They get another elite player in the trenches for the class of 2023, now up to 7th in the nation, according to On3's team rankings. I'm film analyst for canesports.com, Thomas Frank Carr. We're about to get real talking about Jayden Wayne, another elite line prospect, this time on the defensive side for Miami. We'll get into it with real talk. Welcome to Real Talk inside T. Frank's film room. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr, but my friends call me T. Frank. So we're going to talk today about Jayden Wayne, four-star defensive end, and we're going to get into some interesting nitty-gritty maybe in some of On3's rankings, because there is a difference of opinion about Jayden Wayne, and we'll try to explain that by looking at his film, looking at his strengths and weaknesses and areas he can get better as he gets to IMG Academy, another player from out west, from Tacoma, Washington, that is transferring to IMG for the fall. He'll be playing there for his senior season. And I'm excited to see what he can do in the national program, because he is a very talented football player. I think he's got a lot of good skills already, and that always accentuates and accelerates that learning curve for players when they get to IMG. But let's take a look at Jayden Wayne, what he brings to the table as far as his recruiting ranking. Second player overall in the class for Miami. When it comes to his ranking, he is 104 nationally, 15th defensive end at his position in the Florida. He's the 24th overall player in On3's internal rankings. Now, for the consensus, very different. 35th overall, 4th at the position, 9th in Florida. So for those of you that don't know, On3 ranks not just our own internal ranking, but a composite of all of the major recruiting services, all 4 major recruiting services, weighted equally to give you a composite ranking, kind of the wisdom of the crowd sort of ranking. So we believe in our own, but we also believe that we're not the only people in the world that have eyeballs, right? So what's the difference here with Jayden Wayne? Because there is a big difference between elite, borderline first round pick 5-star, and a very good football player, basically one of the 100 best in the country. That's what we're going to dig into a little bit here. And I think this is one of those beauties in the eye of the beholder, because if you like old school defensive ends, if you like guys that can play at 270, play the run really well, have great pass rushing moves, and play with power, a traditional strong side defensive end, you're going to love Jayden Wayne, because he's got the frame for it. 6'5". We have him listed at 240, and I think that's being generous. Like, he's 255 on film. He plays big. And there's different body types in the world. He is very tall. He plays very tall. He has elite length. Those things are good and bad when you watch film, and when you're breaking down and dissecting what a prospect is and what they do on the football field. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the things he does really well. We started with size. Well, if you want a run defender, Jayden Wayne is a good run defender. Wayne is able to set the edge. He uses his hands well to stack and shed. He does not tolerate anyone pulling into his area. He will light up pull blockers and poor tight ends that are coming in on split blocks. Holds the point of attack, sets the edge, and then he can disengage, shed, and get to the football. All these things are great. You can see the bench press and the power he comes up with. Now, again, I said he plays tall, but he knows that. I appreciate watching his film because he knows that he's a tall player, and he works continually to mitigate that. And you can see he comes in and takes on that block, blows up the play, and then forces the ball to go wide in those situations. So a tall player that's working actively to lower his pad level. I like that. That means that he's working on his weaknesses. He's not a guy that's out there just playing. There's an awareness to his game. But that pad level is a thing. But when it comes to his pass rush, which is what everyone's getting paid to do at defensive end, stopping the run is great. You defensive coordinators, they're going to say, we stop the run. That's what we do. Everybody wants to get to the quarterback, and he's very good at that. So he's got good moves. I think he's got a good swim move. He uses his arms very well, so he's got that extreme length. He uses it. He doesn't pop up immediately like some tall guys. He's able to keep his initial burst, which is good, low, and then he can turn the corner once he wins immediately. His best move as you might imagine, is to win immediately. He has a very efficient route to the quarterback because he can use those long arms to engage first, use his first move, and then turn the corner. So when it comes to those, he's not a one-dimensional, one-note sort of pass rusher. But, and I'm going to hammer this again, if you like length and power, he is going to be a massive problem for offensive tackles that don't have any sand in the pants, because he's got good leverage, he's got strength, a lot of lower body mass, and his power, his long arm and his bull rush, he's got moves off of moves in that area. These are high-level things that you want to see from a guy with his profile. So I like that a lot. He's got some traditional, maybe some speed to the outside, some attacking the edge, but also he can counter on the inside, and that makes all those moves more valuable. So we see him go inside, we see him use, basically go through each shade of the offensive tackle and then right down the pipe, right down the middle. I like all that stuff. That's why he's 104th player in the nation. That is a great high floor to work with. And I know you can sense it. It's coming. It's coming. But if we're looking at 34th or 35th overall, fourth defensive end, fourth edge rusher in the nation, according to the consensus, versus the internal rankings having him as the 15th edge rusher. What's the difference? Well, a couple of things. First off, understand what a 5-star is to On3. It is the 32 players in this class that On3 believes will be first-round draft picks. So they're measured accordingly. Do you have the right length? Do you have the right testing numbers? Do you have the right physical profile to play at that level? And what I see, first off, everything's good. Like we talked about, good pass rushing moves, good skill when it comes to the run and playing positionally aware fundamental football. But speed to the outside is not the forte for Wayne. And if you're talking about him playing in the open field and being able to burst and get to the quarterback, I don't see 5-star. I see very good, above average at everything with some elite characteristics, which is why he's unique and he's kind of divisive here in this particular ranking evaluation rift. When it comes to that, the thing I want the most, especially with tall players, is show me you can bend. Show me that you're not a big tree trunk, an oak tree running around out there. And again, Wayne does his best, but I think this is where, to me, this is where he falls a little bit short, is he doesn't transition his momentum very well. He doesn't bend around the tackle. And when he does get stood up, he can give up ground. He can give up a couple of plays in the run game. But really, to me, you watch the way, if he doesn't win immediately, he doesn't have the ability to change the angle to the quarterback and get to, get effective pressure on a consistent basis from the outside. So while he's a good pass rusher overall in a lot of different ways, he is going to most likely be a power first player when he gets to the next level. So his ability to bend better, looser hips, a little more flexibility, a little more agility in his lower half. Either work on that or go all the way into power, right? Or just be as strong as possible and as violent with your hands in your initial contact, because his burst off the football is good. So if you can accentuate that with then power, he reminds me of, if you remember, Carlos Dunlap, Florida, Cincinnati Bengals, unbelievably long player, 6'6", probably had a 7-foot wingspan. He had more batted passes during his career than a lot of guys. 96 sacks, by the way, in the NFL. So a very productive player with a really similar profile. So he ran a 4.71 at the combine. I think he was a second-round pick. If I'm projecting to the future for Jayden Wayne, that's what I see. And that's a very valuable player. At the college level, that is a very valuable skill, especially if you've got a bunch of guys that can come off the football. Edge rushers, you are platoon rushing anyway. So a guy that has this profile, strength, length, and good fluidity, but not elite bend, good speed, not elite speed, good burst, not elite. I think he fits very well into this class as the second overall player and as a good building block of a very good defensive line for the Hurricanes. What they're building on the offensive line, by the way, that looks pretty special with some of the RPM picks that have come in recently. So that's Jayden Wayne. If you want to check out more, go to canesport.com. You can check out Real Talk there as well. We've done a couple of these so far. So make sure you subscribe here to the YouTube channel as well, so you can always see T. Frank's Film Room, because we're giving you the real talk.